So my name is Michael Goldsmith. I'm the Senior Director for Human Resources at Rogers Sports and Media. But what that means is that I'm quite fortunate to have the opportunity to provide HR support for our incredible team at Sportsnet, the folks that bring us Hockey Night in Canada, Blue Jays baseball, and a myriad of other properties. So on a day-to-day, I'd say my job is really about developing our teams, fostering an engaging culture, and importantly, creating an inclusive workplace to help us deliver the best and most complete sports coverage and different experiences to sports fans across the country. Say I have a deep interest in this topic and looking really to listen and learn from others just to gain a better understanding of the journeys that other organizations are on, and how they've overcome some of the hurdles in driving accountability within their organizations. I'm fortunate to work with a leadership team that is keenly aware of the responsibility that we have with our media megaphone. But to speak to all sports fans across Canada, and one that's committed to doing this both internally and externally. But I think there's many organizations that are really doing great work in this space. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of the key lessons that other organizations have had, and really about how they've sparked change at kind of all levels of their organization. So, this is the question that we're constantly trying to solve, I suppose, is, I think we're happy to be doing a lot of work in this space, and having quite a bit of progress in this space. But I'd be lying if I tried to indicate at all that the work is done. And I think, as I said, I think there's probably lots of good learnings from other people that are speaking at this, that I'm not afraid to steal and try to implement in some of our processes and thinking around what we're doing. And as we're evolving ever more in this field, like, I think I'd be crazy not to lean on some of the experts that that we're hearing from to really pull in some of their experiences into what we're building and trying to build as a culture for our organization. So I'd say, this is a big question. I don't believe that it comes down to one or two actions, but it kind of has to be ingrained into like the DNA of what you are and who you're trying to be as an organization. For us at Rogers Sports and Media and Sportsnet in particular, like we've really or attempted to take a 360 view of our organization, and how we can use our position in the media industry to enact change, and whether that be through external resources, meaning like community support or charitable support or mentorship, but also in kind of the content that we create and distribute, the stories that we tell, and then finally, like really in building our own diverse and inclusive teams. I think to that point, like we over the last year created a content committee that's composed of a diverse group of employees from across all of our brands, whether that be news or entertainment or sports in particular. And it's being headed up by some of our folks on the sports side, meaning that, that group has got a mandate to provide insights and recommendations on what we can do to improve the content that we create, and be better representative of our country and our fans in everything that we do. And then, so for us, like I would say, to the question about how you do it without seeming performative, I'd say, we're quite lucky. While we're deeply focused on building more diverse like teams, both in front and behind of either the camera or the microphone or written words that we're putting out on our different platforms. We've also got the luxury of having true experts representing our brands. So, Jennifer Botterill isn't a great female hockey broadcaster. She's a great hockey broadcaster with deep insights from a player's perspective on how the game is played. And, Anthony Stewart isn't part of our team just because he's a person of color. He's a key member of our team because he's got deep experience like playing in the NHL, and really spending his entire professional life around hockey. For us, we've got a track record. We've done Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi edition for years, and it's really become required viewing for that segment of the population. But beyond that, it's also the success of it and the way that the communities have responded to it is that it's allowed us to really experiment with bringing this to other audiences as well, whether that be putting Blue Jays games on in Pinoy, or over the last couple of years, we've put together a few of our Rogers hometown hockey broadcasts in Cree, which have really had a profound effect on helping us communicate and engage those communities better than we ever have in the past. And it's something that we just want to keep on doing more and more of. So for us, like being able to provide a product that's accessible and representative of all Canadians it's good business for us, but it allows us also to expand our place in the market. And I think from the final thought on that is like what we've learned is that it's actually really important for our teams as well. Our team members are proud to be part of an organization that is telling these stories and connecting with different communities and connecting with communities that they come from, and they just want to be part of doing that more. So I think for us, like we've been fortunate to build a lot of these behaviors in everything that we've been trying to do, whether it be from how we recruit and how we tell stories, but it's kind of been ingrained in the culture of the organization to the point that now it's just something that we do, and again, like it's something we can do better, but we're certainly along the journey, and further than we have been ever in our history. And that is a challenge, and we've creating diversity within a sports media organization has been a challenge for some time for us, and it's a challenge that again I'm fortunate to work on a team and with a leadership team and president who actually has wanted to take on this challenge. But for us, there isn't a great track record in this country, particularly within sports media organizations, of building kind of diverse and representative teams. It's traditionally been difficult for people of color or Indigenous people or women or other underrepresented groups to see themselves in the content that has been created from the sports side, and really from the people that are telling these stories. So personally, we're hoping that's changing, and we're hoping we can be part of that change. We've done a lot of work to really revise our hiring processes, and just even the way that we solicit candidates to engage with our brands. But beyond that, I think I'm feeling more and more optimistic, especially over the last couple of months. I've had the opportunity to interact regularly with a pretty special group of students from the BIPOC community who, through our mentorship program that we've developed with really the leadership of Donovan Bennett, and I can tell you that it's inspired me. I think some of the, it's given me faith in the future of our industry. Each one of these kids has really carved out wanting to make their own way in the sports media industry, but to a person, each one of them said they're not just doing it for themselves, but they're doing it so they can inspire others like them to do the same. And each one of them has really talked about wanting to do it their own way and bring their voice to the industry, and that is just something that our industry vitally needs, but it's only going to get better as we see more and more of that. At the end, having more Canadians feel like they see themselves in the stories that we tell or the coverage that we have is really going to be a massive win for us. I can't put it into words. That putting that program together was a challenge, and it came with a lot of work behind the scenes and evenings and weekends and whatnot, but really driven by a vision that our friend Donovan Bennett brought to the table, and just for it to be embraced and supported by our leadership group was like incredible. Like, and then we kind of were able to span across and get all kinds of buy-in from people on our teams and that wanted to help out. But watching the students week to week, it was incredible. And each one of them just took everything so seriously and just were so committed to what they wanted to achieve in this. We scheduled every session to be an hour. I don't think one ended before an hour and a half because there was questions and people just wanted to keep going and take the time to work with the leaders that were volunteering their time. We actually had our wrap session of the session on Tuesday night, and we'd scheduled it again for an hour. We had the whole Rogers Sports and Media executive leadership team and the Sportsnet senior leadership team as well, and we were there for 3 hours because each one of the students wanted to tell their story and engage with these leaders and take their shot and ask for a chance to get an interview and things like that. So I was just inspired to see some of the stories and some of where people are coming at these careers from, and the way that they actually have been so thoughtful about creating their own space in it, that like I'm just inspired. Like if I had a job for every one of them today, I'd be, they would not be waiting much longer for one. Mm-hmm. So I am really looking forward to bringing that group in particular, but other groups like them into our industry and into our business, because it's going to make our content and our delivery and just our connection to Canadians like so much stronger. So I'm totally like, I'm just jacked about that after our final session.
Mm-hmm.
one word, I think that word is understanding.